Low voltage wiring for heating and air conditioning, underground irrigation systems, etc. Question, one may have tested the voltage, and for some reason things are the voltage is just not producing like one would like. So at this juncture, one has gone and perhaps finagled the wires, done this, done that, and then at some point you start tracing it down, and it depends on how long of a run the wire is. If it's a long run, for instance, one time in a sprinkler system, I had installed a sprinkler system wire, and it was a good long run around the house, and it was brand new wire with several small wires in one wire, and for some reason one or two were broken, and finally it took X amount of time to diagnose and find out where it was at. If you find it out, then you can cut the wire, shunt it with a new piece of wire, as opposed to just pinpointing it. So one way to try to see if you can find out which wire's broke, or if the wire is broke somewhere, you may have to cut. But if you can get from one end to the other, and say, for hypothetically, if you start on one end and you undo your hot wire and your other wire, and whether that be whatever wire that may be, and you've got the naked end, say if you disconnected these from whatever they're connected to, say the thermostat or the irrigation, then hypothetically you take and get a voltmeter and put it on ohms. And then once you put it on and on the ohm setting, at this point, then you take the other end, and for instance on the other end here, and you take the same two wires. As we note here, we have a white wire and we have a red wire. Again, white wire, red wire. So over on this end, say this was the end of the line, if this was the terminal strips or whatever this was connected to on the other end, we would simply disconnect these. And then we wind these together. And once wound together, then you take your two leads, and it's going to be difficult for me to do it, but then you've got your meter set to ohms over here, and you simply do this number here, and do this. It's difficult to do this with, and then once you get, but anyway, the idea is to take your two leads here, this lead and this lead from your meter, and then touch it with the other end disconnected and wound together. And at this point, then at this point, one should read. One should on the ohm section. One should start to read the numbers, but it's kind of difficult for me to do here. But the idea is actually take this lead and this lead and touch two wires simultaneously. And on the other end, do keep in mind this other end is wound together. The wires are wound together. And now, if you're not, I think you should pull ohms on this. So if you pull ohms on this, the wires are solid all the way through. So if you don't pull a connection, then you've got a problem. So, but basically, I'm trying to do this, and it is very cumbersome to say the least. If we see if we can do it this way, and once we do it this way, anyway, it's very difficult to do. I need about 2 more hands here. But anyway, or one of these little gadgets where it rotates and it kind of holds it for you. So if anybody wants to give me some suggestions, that would be great. But anyway, just touch this with the 2 leads. Okay, you got your red and your black. Touch one with one, touch the other one with the other one. On the other end, it should be wound down, and I think you should pull ohms here. And if you don't pull any ohms here, then you've got a broken wire somewhere, and then that way you'll have to start to diagnose. But if you've got 4 or 5 wires and you go through and you've gone through every scenario to where you're trying to find the problem wire, then at this point, you need to try to locate the wire. So, and I'm not sure if that would mean, sometimes it's just as easy if you get into a situation to where, say, you have 3 or 4 wires, say a bundle of wires like this, and 1 or 2's broken. In the bundle somewhere between point A and point B, sometimes it may be just as easy to just run a brand new wire, because you could spend days trying to find what particular point between point to point. If it was a short run, that would be fine. But if it's a long run, or if it's a mediocre run, it may be just as easy to disconnect the wire at this end, disconnect the wire at this end, run a brand new wire, and then you go from there. So anyway, thank you.